We dismiss history at our peril.
Liberty Nation Radio with Mark Angelides.
And we're back on Liberty Nation Radio, heard coast to coast on the Radio America Network. I remain your host, Mark Angelides. We're very fortunate to have with us today Liberty Nation's national security correspondent, Mr. Dave Patterson. Thanks for coming in, Dave.
Thank you, Mark. Always happy to be with you.
So, Dave, the big news for me in recent days, and I predict that it will be going forward, is the funding of not the Iron Dome. Trump calls it the Golden Dome, I believe.
Yes, he does.
Which is, I think that's a beautiful name. It's a big, beautiful name for a big, beautiful dome. And so it's something that everybody thinks will protect the United States well. I haven't really heard any adult criticism of actually having an Iron Dome system. However, I have heard criticisms from a couple of things. Number one is the funding. And I really want to talk about that, because how is that going to be paid for? But number two, and I think this is pretty interesting, is we're hearing criticism from inside America saying that other nations won't like it that America has an Iron Dome system. And I'm thinking, well, isn't that the whole point, Dave?
Yeah, I mean,
let's deal with the second one first.
Yeah, let's do that, because that is so that is so globalistic and Eurocentric, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and that is precisely what the Trump administration is not about.
Yeah.
This is about America first and keeping Americans safe. And so to hear that other nations might not like this means clearly to me that we're doing something right. You know, as to take a page out of Marco Rubio's book, no, when I believe it was Senator Cade said, if I had it to do over again, I would not have voted to confirm you. And he says, well, then I must be doing something right.
Yeah. So the chief worrywarts, as we might call them, apparently are, and again, this kind of proves that you're doing something right with it.
Yeah,
are China and Russia. And so I've been reading critics saying that China won't be happy that the U.S. has such a such a capability, and Russia won't be happy that the U.S. has such capability. And I think, well, the very fact that they're not happy about it proves to me, on a personal level, that that's exactly the reason that America should have it. Because despite the Biden administration protestations that we are not adversaries, we live in an adversarial world. That's the reality. And he who fails to prepare for future adverse events is risking almost everything that people hold dear.
Well, that's right. I mean, and so for Biden to say we are not adversaries, is pretty much emblematic of the entire 4 years that we endured. They never got it. They never understood the world in which we live. Trump does. He does get it. And, I always I wrote against this notion of, if we're real nice to you, will you be real nice to us, which was the mantra of the Biden administration. And we can see how well how that worked for them. It doesn't. And so Trump is a realist, and he sees that he lives in a world where no matter what we say, China has started to build and will soon have completed more than 300 ICBM silos. Well, they're not doing that to hold wheat. And the consequence of that is that we have to do something that will at least, put them a little bit back on their feet. The criticism that I hear mostly is, oh my goodness, by having a defensive system, we are abrogating our responsibility for deterrence. Well, that's absurd. Think about it. Having a defensive system actually enhances the deterrent effect of the capability that you have.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it's natural. So, for example, if you make just for example, if you make a potential enemy's stockpile of ICBMs pointless, then they will stop stockpiling ICBMs. It's very much a de-escalation of of the destructive capability of modern weaponry, and the idea that we should instead be building a better, bigger bomb. I mean, that's everything that everybody should be really against, I think, right? I mean,
well, absolutely. And I think too, not to take the conversation into the metaphysical, but the fact is that deterrence is a kinetic response.
yes.
I have the capability to beat you. You have the capability to destroy me. We are at a standoff. On the other hand, if your capability not only is there to send missiles their way, should that have to happen, but you can also defend against their missiles, it becomes actually more for them than just pointless.
Yeah.
It becomes losing. You have lost this battle. You have to kind of rethink your position in the world and come back with something better than we're going to defeat you, because you can't.
Yeah.
Ultimately, you cannot do that. So
Who was it who said peace through strength? Was that Ronald Reagan?
Absolutely.
Well,
And it's just, so it actually becomes more of a winning solution than it is a defensive solution, which would, deterrence was always defensive. The only thing that we had going for us is the uncertainty on the part of our enemies that if they shot their counterforce missiles, that they'd hit empty silos.
Yes. So, yeah, I really think that people who are criticizing the Iron Dome on that subject, they're absolutely missing the point. But let's get to the criticisms of cost. So it's not a done deal, is it? Because I believe, I might have these figures wrong, but I believe there's $25 billion to get the ball rolling on this, which is not going to be enough to pay for everything involved. And if we may just take a minute to talk about what's involved with that, it's I'm sure all of our listeners know how the Iron Dome system works. Is a series of satellites that first track everything, and then there's some more satellites that would have essentially Star Wars capability that can take down missiles as they're en route. So it's a big mass of satellites that would need to be put up into orbit. Is that about right?
Well, it is ultimately. I think that's their goal. But in the meantime, President Trump saw Iron Dome, and his thinking was, well, we'll just model what we have after Iron Dome. When they announced it, and from the Oval Office, and he announced the program manager, General Goodline, there was a graphic that went up, and it had 4 or 5 different things, but one of them was ground-based missiles and a ground-based system. That's what Iron Dome is. It's a ground-based system. That's what you would have to have initially.
Yeah.
And so you can scale something on the order of Iron Dome and have a ground-based system to begin with, which is what we have currently with our exciting 3 sites and 44 missiles after 24 years of spending money on that. And so this would be and why he's talking about 3 years is, I think that's what's in his mind, that you create this system, and okay, the argument is, well, Israel is the size of Rhode Island, and it would just be an enormous project. But the idea is, okay, fine, divide the country up into those areas that are the size of Israel, and put systems in each of those regions so as to defend against that area. But I think that to more to the point, if you think about this whole problem, it is a detect, identify, track, intercept, destroy. right? That's the point. And so the problem that people are talking about is that now we're looking at hypersonic missiles. Okay, well, Raytheon just came out with a new version of their tracking and intercept radar that handles hypersonic weapons. And so we're in a position of now having the capability, perhaps rudimentary as it is, but certainly consistent with the threat, that you scale. And now you can scale these things to the point where, okay, we have all these different missile systems, that basically we have a high-low mix already. We don't have to develop anything for a ground-based system. And you've got, the terminal high-altitude intercept in THAAD. You've got Patriots and all manner of Israelis, Arrow 2 and 3. And so you have the capability to start to create this system. And I can't put, thoughts in President Trump's mind, but I think that's pretty much how he sees this.
Yeah, so it's really just taking existing technologies, multiplying them on a grand scale, and
Scaling them, right.
start upscaling them with the latest technologies into existing systems. Now, we're going to be continuing our conversation on Donald Trump's aims, plans, and schemes after this short break. Don't go anywhere.
We dismiss history at our peril.
Liberty Nation Radio with Mark Angelides.